We are starting the live stream now, just so everybody's aware.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, Scott.
Hey, Eli. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Seems early. How come?
What do you mean it seems early? It's 9:51.
Oh, yeah, earlier than usual, no?
Well, I didn't have to drive into Ben Franklin Place.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Carol.
Scott,
Oh,
All right.
you got some feedback there.
are you aware there's work going on in the entrance to Beryl Gaffney Park? They're putting in a gazebo, picnic benches, huge waste bins, like garbage cans for dog poop. The dog run, the enclosed dog run is now segregated, one spot for large dogs, one spot for little dogs. I wasn't aware of the plan, were you?
Where did you get that from?
Well, they're working on it over there. I mean, it's just on my back doorstep. So
Yeah.
I talked to one of the work guys and got the map of the design that they're doing.
Just to make you aware, folks, that YouTube is already running, so you'll be heard on YouTube.
Okay, we'll talk later, Scott.
Yeah, that's fine. I can reach out to staff and see what's up to.
Yeah, no, I've reached out to Kevin to see what's happening.
Okay, sounds good.
Here, right? Better to do it from the device. Okay, but where's my picture? Does she have to let me in or something?
Something's wrong with my video again, so I'm here, but you won't see me. But consider yourself lucky.
Now we won't say that. Okay. Oh, my camera's off. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
There we go. There you are.
Yeah. Scott, can you hear me?
Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Me too.
There you are.
I can hear you too, George. Oh, there's George.
Thank you.
Look, I'm the only one working from home today. Oh no, well, Caroline's probably working from home. You guys.
I'm working from home. I'm always working.
I changed my camera angle so you can see a different aspect of my camper.
Oh, hold on. Do you want to see more on my?
I don't need to see your office, George.
It's okay. You can see it.
Whatever that thing is at the back on the top there.
I know you don't like it. I know that. I know.
Yeah, that's not
Maybe I should make it my background just to make you happy.
crazy. No, they haven't played hockey since March, and they probably won't again till 2021. But even then, when they return, are they actually playing hockey? Is that a team that actually plays hockey?
Yeah, no,
Are they even an NHL team? I know Toronto is, but are the Senators an actual NHL hockey team? I don't know. That's a tough one. That's debatable.
I'm not gonna even argue with you on that one in the morning.
That's probably smart.
Is this all the conversation recorded? I would have told you what I feel about it.
Just remember, folks, we are on YouTube, so some
I know.
people.
I am well aware.
Okay.
We're going to get so many downvotes on this video, Counselor.
There you
That's
go.
okay. There's a lot of Leafs fans in this city, and I'm their only representative. So.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Chair. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So we're only missing the Vice Chair. We're missing Councillor Gower, and everybody's on. So.
Yeah. We can't see Councillor Meehan, but she said she's on, so we heard her earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, after one Zoom meeting, if I don't restart my computer, I don't have Zoom for the next Zoom meeting, like video. It's crazy. So I forgot, obviously, to reboot it this morning.
Hello, just as a test, can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can, Douglas.
Okay, thank you. Just having some trouble with, it wants me to choose different microphones because they alternately don't work. So I think I got the right one for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see most of us here from the committee. Actually, all of us here now. Good morning. Good morning, all. Can you hear me okay first? Okay, I see.
Gotcha.
All right, thank you. So welcome to Agriculture Rural Affairs Committee meeting agenda 14, Thursday, June 4th, 2020. Electronic participation. This meeting will be held through electronic participation in accordance with Bill 187, the Municipal Emergency Act, and an order in Council of March 28, 2020, which is amended the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act and prohibit organized public event for more than 5 people. This meeting may be viewed online on the Ottawa City Council YouTube channel. The City of Ottawa continues to take COVID-19 seriously, and in following the advice of provincial and federal governments, is making significant change to service and programming to help protect health and well-being of the community. City Hall is temporarily closed to help stop the spread of COVID-19. In-person committee and council meeting have been canceled. Such meeting was warranted will be held electronically under further notice. For more information about service disruption, please visit our COVID-19 webpage at the City of Ottawa. Persons wishing to provide comment on any of the items contained here should refer to the process detail and attached of this agenda as Annex A. Before I start the agenda, I'd like to read the statement. perhaps before the statement, maybe we should take quorum. I see we have quorum, but we didn't ask for quorum. So if I can take quorum, please. Councillor Darouz,
Here.
Councillor Moffat,
Here.
Councillor Meehan. I know she was with us earlier. Councillor Meehan.
I'm here.
Okay. Vice Chair Gower,
Here.
myself, and Councillor Harder as ex officio of this committee. I see you, but you're still muted. Yeah, you need to unmute.
There, I don't know why my screen changed. I'm here.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you all for joining us this morning. This is the chair statement for a public hearing of OP and zoning item. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendments listed as items 1 to 7 on today's agenda. For the item just mentioned, only those who make oral submission today or written submissions before the amendment are adopted may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal. If council does not adopt an amendment within 90 days of recipient of the application for zoning and 120 days for any official plan amendment, to submit writing comment on these amendments prior to their consideration by City Council on June 10. Please email or call the committee or council coordinator. Noted to the committee member, councillor, a reminder, if you have any motion on any of the item listed today, please send a copy to us ahead of the public delegation to that committee member, so that committee member and staff have an opportunity to review and necessarily clarify your motion during the discussion of the matter. Thank you. So with that, we start with we have an addition item. I would like to ask the vice chair to introduce. This is a verbal update and presentation from staff in planning, infrastructure, and economic development department regarding rural tourism and cycling. So the motion moved by Councillor Gower.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the motion is that pursuant to subsections 89.3 and 83.4A of the procedure bylaw, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee waived the rules of procedure to receive the verbal update from staff of the Planning, Infrastructure, and Economic Development Department regarding rural tourism and cycling at today's meeting, and dispense with the requirement for staff to provide a separate written report on this verbal update and presentation.
On the motion?
Carried.
Thank you. So we'll go through the consent agenda and we'll come back to this item. So planning, infrastructure, and economic development service. Item number 1, zoning bylaw amendment and official plan amendment, part of 3713 Boris O'Kane Road. Item 1, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to the official plan volume 1 to designate the property as part of 3713 Boris O'Kane Road from sand and gravel resource area to general rural area and rural employment area, with the policy accepted to the require of comprehensive servicing study and its approval prior to allowance of the public service as detailed in document 2. We don't have a speaker sign up for item 1, but we have someone in support. If I believe the applicant represented by Julia Carrara-Fortin. Julia Carrara, sorry, from Fortin. So on the item, is item 1 carried?
Carried.
Carried.
And Julie, you
Carried.
don't have to, Julie, if you join us, you don't have to speak if we carry this item. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, colleagues. So item number 1 has been carried. Item number 2 is zoning bylaw amendment, part of 4083 Larry Robinson Road in Osgood Ward. Item number 1, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 part 4083 Larry Robinson Road for the purpose of rezoning a portion of the land from agriculture zone subzone 2 AG2 to agriculture zone subzone 5 AG5 to prohibit residential use on the retained farmland as detailed in document 2. Document to the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee approve the consultation detail section of this report be included as a part of the brief explanation and summary of written and oral public submissions. Basically, this is a surplus farmland. So on item 2.
Carried.
Carried.
Thank you. Sorry. Item number 3 is a zoning bylaw amendment, part of 2031 Stittsville Main Street. Item 1, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 of part of 2031 Stittsville Main Street to rezone approximately 1.87 hectare of the land from rural institutional zone subzone 5 RI5 to rural residential zone subzone 2 RR2 to align with the zoning of the 2015 Stittsville Main Street, to which 1.87 hectare subject to this rezoning has been conveyed in detail in document 2. Document 2, the Agriculture Rural Affairs Committee approved the consultation details section of this report be included as part of the brief explanation in summary of written and oral public submission to be prepared by the office of the city clerk and submitted to council. On the item, okay?
Carried.
Thank you. Zoning, this is item 4, but I believe, yes, zoning bylaw amendment, part of 3864 Upper Dwyer Hill Road, that the agriculture, is another rural servant here, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for part of 3864 Upper Dwyer Hill Road for the purpose of rezoning the land from agriculture zone subzone 1 AG1 to agriculture zone subzone 5 AG5 to prohibit residential uses on the retained farmland as detailed in document 2. Again, that's a surplus fund. And item 2, the Agriculture Rural Affairs Committee approved the consultation details section of this report be included as part of the brief explanation in summary of written and oral public submission to be prepared by the office of the city clerk and submit to council. On the item?
Carried.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5, zoning bylaw amendment 11 King Street. That's in Rideau Grove. Item 1, that the Agriculture Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for 11 King Street to rezone the entirety of the property to a village residential second density zone with a rural exception modifying the performance standard of the property in relation to a lot within corner, side, and rear yard setback as detailed in document 3. And item number 2, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee approve the consultation details section of this report be included as a part of the brief explanation in summary of written and oral public submission to be prepared by the city clerk and solicitor. On the item?
And Chair, there are two speakers, but they don't have to speak if it goes on.
Sorry, yes, you're right, Mark. That's why we pay you the big bucks to keep an eye on us. Yes, we have the applicant presented by Peter Hume and Jack Sterling. And if we carry this item, you don't need to speak. Is that correct, Peter and Jack? I'm not sure if they're joining us, but
They are there, yep.
they're there.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. If you carry this item, we're happy to take yes for an answer.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hume. So on the item 5, carry.
Carried.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, zoning bylaw amendment, part of 2975 Harbison Road in Rideau Goulburn. Item number 1, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend Council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for part of 2975 Harbison Road for the purpose of rezoning the land from Agriculture Zone AG to Agriculture Zone Subzone 5 AG5 to prohibit residential use on the retaining farmland as detailed in document 2. Item 2, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee approved the consultation detailed section of this report be included as part of the brief explanation in the summary of written and oral public submission to be prepared by the Office of the City Clerk and submitted to Council in the report title. On the item, we don't have anyone signed to speak on the item.
Carried.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7 and zoning bylaw amendment, part of the 2289 Divine Road in Cumberland Ward. Item number 1, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend Council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for part of 2289 Divine Road for the purpose of rezoning the land from rural countryside zone RU to rural countryside zone rural exception schedule to a temporarily permit a standalone accessory structure on the land for a period of 3 years as detailed in document 2 and to be apparent to schedule to zoning bylaw in relation to the subject land to delineate and development envelope to which building and structure are limited to be constructed within as detailed in document 3. Item number 2, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee approve the consultation detail section of this report be included as a part of the brief explanation in a summary of written and oral public submission to be prepared by the Office of City Clerk and submit to Council. On item 7,
There is a speaker as well, but I think if it goes on consent, he's fine.
yes,
Mr. Jackson.
Jordan Jackson from Navitat. Mr. Jackson, are you with us on the meeting?
Yeah, it's Jordan Jackson
Oh,
here.
sorry. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jordan.
Pardon?
Sorry, go ahead. Are you okay if we carry this item?
That's correct. We're okay.
Thank you very much. On the item?
Carried.
Thank you. Item number 8 is Country Hill Estate Branch, Cassidy Municipal Drain Appointment of Engineers. That's in Osgood Ward, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend that Council appoint Mr. Adam O'Connor, P&T of McIntosh Perry Consulting Engineers Limited, as the engineer of record to prepare a report under Section 8.1 of the Drainage Act in response to a petition received under Section 4 of the Drainage Act as described in this report. I believe Mr. Ryan with us on Zoom. Can we carry this item?
No
Carried.
issues, Councillor. It's Mr. Chair. It's basically an extension of a previous appointment, and it's to for Councillor Giroux's benefits. It's to include bring Country Hill Estates Councillor into the watershed so that they have a proper outlet. It's never really had a proper outlet. And so the intent is just to bring Country Hill Estates into the watershed of the Cassidy Drain.
On the item?
Carried.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, commemorative naming proposal, Betty Van Tobel Court, and that's in Cumberland Ward, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve the proposed to name the tennis court at Wilfred Murray Park, 1115 Dunnan Road, the Betty Van Tobel Courts. On the item, we didn't receive any, I believe, have number of them, and staff, clerk, everyone seems in support of those. So item number 9K.
Carried.
Carried.
Okay. Item number 10, commemorative naming proposal, Craig Huff Tree Nursery, and that's in Rideau Goulburn, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve the proposal to name the city's tree nursery located at 3478 Moody Drive, the Craig Huff Tree Nursery. On the item, Carrie?
Carried.
Thank you. Item number 11, commemorative naming proposal, David Artenfield, recreation area that's in Goulburn, Rideau Goulburn, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve the proposal to name the recreation area within Centennial Park located at 5572 Dr. Lee Drive, the David Arnfield Recreation Area. On the item, Carrie?
Carried.
Thank you. Item number 12, that's in Osgood Ward, commemorative naming proposal, Luigi Caparelli Walkway. I hope I pronounce it right, George. That the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve the proposal to name the pathway link connecting Long Shadow Street and Meadowshire Way, the Luigi Caparelli Walkway. On the item?
Carried.
Thank you.
Carried.
Item 13, commemorative naming proposal, McQueen Family Bridge, and that's in Osgood Ward, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve the proposal to name the bridge on Marvelville Road between Line Road and York Corner Road, the McQueen Family Bridge. On the item?
Carried.
Carried.
Now, we have no in-camera item. We have information previously disturbed. A plan of subdivision and plan of condominium 3119 Carp Road public meeting. That was withdrawn for the next council meeting. And next council meeting is going to be Thursday, July 8th. Is that correct, Mark? You have it here, July 2nd, but I think July 8th.
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday,
Yeah,
July 8th.
Wednesday, July the 8th.
Okay, sorry, Wednesday, July the 8th. So that's going to be our next ARAC meeting. And now we'll go to item number 1. And we do have a presentation from our staff, and I'm not sure who's from our staff is going to do the presentation.
It should be Sheila Doherty, I think.
Oh,
Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning, councillors.
Good morning.
So just a brief presentation and an update on some of the rural tourism campaign and initiatives that we are looking to undertake in the next few months. If you could go to the next slide, Mark. So just a bit of background and context as to why I'm presenting to you today. As you know, the Rural Economic Development Strategy and Action Plan was approved by committee in March and then by council in April. And one of the strategic priority areas of this strategy was rural tourism and supporting and advancing rural tourism. Of course, we know that the tourism industry has been one of the hardest hit industries by the COVID-19 pandemic, along with our local retail stores and restaurants. So the Mayor's Economic Partners Task Force and the Economic Recovery Task Team under the leadership of Steve Willis, we've been working hard to implement a number of measures and initiatives to support these industries. And so rural tourism, in particular, a rural tourism campaign supports very well the objectives of the Economic Recovery Task Team and the Mayor's Partners Task Force. So we will be working in partnership with Ottawa Tourism to develop and launch a rural tourism campaign. And of course, this campaign will align with the reopening of the economy based on the province's direction and all the regulations of Ottawa Public Health. Next slide, please. So there's just a few goals, 4 goals to the campaign, and it's a very hyper-local campaign. So we'll be looking to stimulate the rural economy by encouraging our local residents to get out and explore the rural areas. We'll also be looking to strengthen our rural tourism attractions, again, with local demand, all with the goal of supporting our local businesses, whether they be retail, restaurant, or other food and beverage type businesses like ice cream shops or our local breweries, and of course, all doing this in a safe manner. And then lastly is really to promote some of the rural cycling routes and the self-guided cycling routes that we have here in Ottawa. So we're going to be launching the campaign in 2 phases. The first phase is really to get residents thinking about the rural experience. Of course, people have been cooped up in their house for the past few months, getting a little bit of cabin fever. So getting people to think what experiences and what they could do in the rural area and really look at traveling in their own backyard. And then of course, highlighting some of the cycling routes we have. The second phase, and that'll align with when the province starts to open more businesses, perhaps restaurant patios and eventually restaurants, where we will be looking at actively encouraging residents to get out and explore the rural areas, again, in a safe way. And we'd be looking at providing some sample itineraries and then, of course, encouraging residents while they're out to shop local and support some of the businesses in our rural areas. So there will be a few components to this campaign. The first one will be a promotional video, just a short, crisp video, again, encouraging people to get out and explore the rural areas. There will also be a contest. It'll be a photo contest for all the rural wards. And then, of course, we will have content that will be shared through all our social media channels and the social media channels of Ottawa Tourism, and then a landing page as well with the rest of the content. The target audience, again, as I said, very hyper local. So really looking at getting our own residents and the residents of Gatineau out and exploring the rural areas. We'll also be targeted in our approach. So looking at those who are interested in active lifestyle cycling, those who support shop local, getting the message out to them. And this campaign is really part of a broader Ottawa tourism strategy. So Ottawa Tourism will be looking, obviously, to attract tourism to Ottawa, not just by locals, but outside of the city as tourism starts to return. And of course, looking eventually to fill hotel nights with markets outside of Ottawa. So in terms of the content that we'll be looking at for the campaign, we'll be having individual content for each of the rural wards. And we'll be highlighting information around local points of interest. So as you can see here, highlighting things to do, some suggested itineraries, some local business highlights, again, the cycling routes, and then other points of interest. And as the last slide and next steps, what we're working right now to develop the content and then to finalize the content. The first phase, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, really that exploratory, get people thinking to go out to the rural area. We're looking to launch that mid-June. And then the second phase, of course, we wouldn't launch that until the province gets into the next phase of reopening the economy, and we see the opening of patios and maybe restaurants and other retail stores. And of course, again, encouraging people to get out and support businesses in a safe way. The duration of the campaign, we're looking to have it extend throughout the summer, and then depending on when we launch phase 2, it could go into the fall months. And then lastly, just we will have a final report that we will work with Ottawa Tourism just to gain an understanding of how successful we were with our outreach and helping support the local rural businesses and the tourism industry. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Charla. Any question from our colleague? Okay, we have Councillor DeRose had his hand up, but did you have? Go ahead, Councillor DeRose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for this presentation. I just wondering, are you going to be able to reach to each councillor so we can have a quick and small discussion over our internal? Because I know, like in Osgoode Road, for instance, we have the Greeley Loop. It's connected to the multi-use pathway. We connect to Councillor Moffat to the west, and then we go all the way to the south. So we can give you some good idea about all our local and our cycle pathway that we do have in our community, and where they can also basically to give an idea where people can stop and all these local jam that we have.
Yes, Mr. Chair, absolutely. We will reach out to every councillor's office to get their input and your suggestions and ideas for the campaign and the itinerary and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Sheila. We appreciate the presentation.
Councillor Moffat.
Thanks, Sheila. And just to build on what Councillor DeRose was saying, we also had a meeting recently with our friends and neighbors in the south in North Grenville, and they're working on some connectivity to Ottawa. They'd like to see some connectivity to Ottawa in that rail line that is now our Osgoode multi-use pathway, the Doug Thompson multi-use pathway, and how that connects through the village of Osgoode. I think we're not that far at the south end of Buckles Road from where it actually hits North Grenville. So it's something that we want to discuss further and see how we can work with them and possibly extend our pathway to the border, and then meet up with them and some of their plans in North Grenville to increase that connectivity.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Any other question? I don't see hands here on the screen. Well, thank you very much.
I have one more.
You have
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
Thank you. Sheila, Councillor Moffat is correctly right. I totally missed that point. And we are literally, it is only back in 2011, the city invested so much money in 27 kilometers of that pathway. And only there's a small section left, and I think it's 4 or 5 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. But that connectivity will put us right all the way to Kemptville. So it also gave our neighboring community, our community and our local neighboring community to be able to connect. And it's very small section, and it's already right now it's already have a stone on it, and we can probably, with very minimum, we can fix it to be able to connect both communities.
Great, and that'll help, I think, with the outreach to other businesses in all those areas.
So Sheila, you can tell there's interest from the local councillor to be engaged with your plans. So perhaps you can reach out to us individually and have a meeting and a little bit more discussion. But there's some great idea come up and knowing the area for so long. I think that would help you and help your staff to design this.
Absolutely, Chair. We'll reach out within the next 2 weeks as we get ready.
Thank you so much. Any other question for our staff or Sheila? See none. Thank you very much for your presentation. And folks, Mark, unless I forget something, no, can we receive this item can we receive this item?
Received.
Received.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mark, has we forget anything yet?
No, Chair, that's basically it.
So I'd like to remind my colleague again, the next meeting is Wednesday, July 8th. I hope you have a great month and be safe with your family. And thanks to our staff and Caitlin here in Ben Franklin for their assistance. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eli.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.